At a family gathering, a woman suddenly felt her ankle grabbed, yet she dared not make a sound, and kept chatting with everyone around her as if nothing had happened. For the one holding her ankle was none other than her husband's nephew, and her husband was staring daggers at her right across the room, already plotting how he would torment her that night. 3 years prior, her husband had discovered by chance that the woman bore an uncanny resemblance to his first love. He then used her mother's medical bills as leverage, and successfully married her. But just as the woman was dreaming of a happy future ahead, her husband forcibly imprisoned her in his villa. Every single night, he forced her to mimic his first love's every mannerism and action. A single misstep would earn her a brutal beating. What's more, he forbade her from seeing her mother entirely. It wasn't until 5 years later that the woman received a phone call with news of her mother's death. When she rushed to the hospital, she learned her mother had given up treatment entirely for her sake, her hand clamped in a death grip around a crumpled piece of paper. When the woman unfolded it, she discovered her mother had long known she'd been imprisoned by her husband in exchange for her medical bills, and had chosen to end her treatment voluntarily so she would no longer be a burden to her daughter. It was in that moment that the woman finally made up her mind to leave her husband. She snuck back to the villa, determined to find the unequal agreements he'd forced her to sign. But her cautious husband had installed hidden cameras all throughout the villa, and the moment he uncovered her plan, he appeared right beside her. Just as the woman braced herself for another brutal beating, her husband instead carefully pointed out exactly where the agreements were stored, and even told her how to report him to the authorities. Though the woman had no idea what he was plotting, she still took her husband to court. Just as she thought she would finally be granted a divorce, her husband suddenly produced a video recording that supposedly proved the woman was mentally ill. It was only then that the woman saw through his final scheme. This move would not only invalidate all her evidence, but also convince the court to grant the husband full guardianship, allowing him to keep her locked up in the house forever. Just as the woman fell into complete despair, her husband's nephew suddenly stepped forward, submitting irrefutable evidence of all her husband's crimes. It was this evidence that won the woman the case, and secured her a successful divorce. Staring at his handsome face before her, the woman could no longer hold back her emotions. It turned out that not long after she'd married, the woman had discovered another person imprisoned in the house, the husband's own nephew. The husband had been determined to break him into an obedient heir, locking him in a pitch-black room every time he dared to defy him. When the woman found out, she snuck him food every single day, and encouraged him to stay strong. This kindness had made the nephew slowly fall for her. 5 years later, the nephew returned fully educated and capable. The very first thing he did was pin the woman against the wall, vowing that he would free her from this house, no matter what it took.